Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for World Cup fantasy content. Now, in any fantasy game, it is great to know who the set piece takers are, who the penalty takers are. If you pick these players, you could have a huge advantage. So today, we're going to go through all 32 teams at the World Cup and discover who takes each of their penalties, corners, and free kicks. So if you do enjoy this video, guys, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here, because a lot of research has gone into this video to bring this to you guys. So let's start off with Group A. We'll go group by group, team by team, player by player. We'll start off with Qatar, and Afif seems to be the guy who is taking penalties. He's a 4.5 million forward. He seems to be their star man in many ways if you're looking for those fantasy returns. So if you're going to go for any Qatar player, 4.5 million for a forward. If you want to cheap out, then maybe you could go for him. Asadala seems to be the guy on free kicks and corners as well. For Ecuador, we're talking about Enner Valencia here, really. He's a forward for 6.5 million if you want to get those penalties. But shout out to Mena, who is a midfielder who is going to be taking some of the free kicks and corners as well. Maybe Pervis Estepinian, the defender at 4.5 million, could be a good one to go for, as Ecuador, they're kind of actually quite a tough defense to play against. A lot of big teams have struggled against them in the past. So if you want to get a defender who could maybe be on some set pieces as well, Estepinian could be the answer. For Senegal, it's all about Sadio Mane, though unfortunately he may not be available for the first few games of the World Cup, and therefore we may need to turn our attention to Ismaila Sarr. Now, Ismaila Sarr comes in at just 6.5 million, which is a really good cheap value option in the forward slot. We spoke about him a little bit in the video I made yesterday, and I'm going to talk about him a little bit again today, because I think without Mane in the team, Sarr is just going to be on everything. Penalties, free kicks, corners, and that's going to be giving him some real opportunities to score some FPL point, well, fantasy points, I guess, especially against maybe the likes of Qatar, maybe Ecuador as well. Netherlands can concede the odd goal now and again as well, so maybe Senegal in this group stage could do okay. Let's see what they do, and maybe Sarr will be the star of the group stage. And finally, for Netherlands, it's all about Depay. So Memphis Depay really is on pretty much everything, penalties, free kicks, and corners when he's available, though we are not entirely sure if he is going to be available for the first couple of games. Again, he's probably going to miss out on the first of the group games due to injury. But if we're looking elsewhere, maybe Berghaus could be the guy to take free kicks and corners, maybe even penalties as well. He has taken all of these kind of set pieces before, so I wonder if he's going to be kind of the stand-in. But unfortunately with Berghaus, he is listed as a forward when he's going to be playing more like a midfielder. So 7 million forward, like taking up a forward slot. I don't know if you guys necessarily would want to do that, but there is an option there, I suppose. Into Group B with England, and first of all, Harry Kane is going to be on penalties. We all know that, and he scores a lot of penalties for England as well. In terms of free kicks and corners, it's going to be whoever is the right back, really, or the right wing back, and that's going to be either Trippier or Trent Alexander-Arnold. Kind of looks like Trippier is going to get the nod at this moment, and therefore he is going to be the free kick taker, he is going to be the corner taker. Maybe we see Foden getting involved there as well, but there are so many different free kick and corner takers that could possibly take them for England. It's quite difficult to say, but Trippier has got to be in for a good shout. For Iran, Taremi is the star forward and the star player of the team. He comes in at 7 million, and he's going to be taking penalties. If you're looking for free kicks and corners, though, Jahanbakhsh, who you may remember from his time at Brighton in the Premier League, or maybe if you followed the Eredivisie at all, he's played a lot of games over in the Eredivisie as well in the Netherlands. And Golizadeh, who I wasn't actually familiar with before doing the research for this video, he's going to be taking some free kicks and corners as well. For the United States, it's all about Christian Pulisic. So he is the guy who is going to be taking penalties, free kicks, corners, pretty much everything. Maybe Brendan Aronson maybe comes in and takes some free kicks and some corners, but Pulisic really is the star man for the United States. He is Mr. USA in terms of their soccer team. So I guess he's the guy you want to go for if you're going to go for any United States player. He is kind of expensive though, but you feel like in a reasonably easy group, maybe he could do the business. And for Wales, well, Bales for Wales never fails. Penalties, free kicks, he's the one to go for if you're looking to get those goals for the Welsh team. There's no surprise there whatsoever. But not Callum Wilson, the other Wilson, Harry Wilson, he will be taking some free kicks and corners there as well. Maybe Dan James comes in and takes some of the corners as well. But it's going to be mostly about Bale in terms of those attacking, goal scoring opportunities, and maybe Wilson and James for those kind of less direct kind of set pieces, the passing type set pieces there for you. For Argentina, no surprise, it is the Messi show. He's going to be taking everything, penalties, free kicks, corners, but maybe we might see Rodrigo de Paul taking some of those corners as well. So little shout out to him. I think he's actually a really good pick as a 5 million midfielder because he's going to be creating key passes. That's a good thing to notice about corners, corner takers. If these corners lead to shots for their team, then that's going to be key passes made. So that's another good thing. You really want to be looking out for corners. But de Paul, not only is he going to be creating key passes, he's also going to be making tackles as well. So for 5 million, I think he could actually be one of the bargains of the entire tournament. Saudi Arabia have some really cheap options because they are one of the weaker teams of the tournament, unfortunately. Al Dawsari, he's a 4.5 million forward. He's probably the guy to go for in terms of attackers. But again, do you want to waste like forward slots on someone from the Saudi Arabian team? Maybe not. If you're looking elsewhere, Al Faraj is possibly going to take some free kicks and corners for you there. For Mexico, Raul Jimenez, the star forward, I guess, he is going to be taking the penalties, and we're going to see free kicks and corners mostly being taken by Irving Lozano, Chucky himself. He is listed as a forward in the game, though, which is a bit of a shame. I kind of wish he was listed as a midfielder. Then I think he would be more of an option at 6 million, but he is really the star of the team, really, at the moment, so he's one to watch for sure. For Poland, Lewandowski is going to be taking those penalties, so that's really good to see. Free kicks and corners, it is going to be Zielinski, and 6.5 million, I think, could offer reasonably good value for Zielinski. I think that's a really good price for him. He doesn't usually perform at the top level for Poland, but certainly at club level, he gets a lot of goals, he gets a lot of assists as well. I wonder if he's going to take his club form into the international form for Poland during this tournament. You could definitely see it happening, and if he's on those set pieces as well, that's really going to help. For France, Benzema is probably going to be the main penalty taker. I'm sure most of us will probably agree with that, but maybe Mbappe takes some penalties as well, particularly if Benzema is not on the pitch at any time. As for free kicks and corners, well, Griezmann for France hits differently. We know that Griezmann is Mr. France. When he pulls on that France shirt, he just turns into an absolute world beater, and we are thinking that Griezmann is actually probably going to get a decent amount of play time, particularly as Nkunku is going to be unavailable for the tournament due to an injury sustained in the training camp, which is a real shame for him. But with every loss comes an opportunity, particularly in fantasy terms, and Griezmann is definitely going to take those opportunities. For Australia, the penalties are going to be taken by Jamie McLaren, but unfortunately McLaren hasn't actually been added into the World Cup fantasy game yet. I'm sure they'll add him to the game very soon, but he's not in it yet, so we don't know what position he's going to be, what price he's going to be. I expect he's probably going to be a forward, and probably priced around 5.5 million, maybe something like that. I think that's a good price for him. And for free kicks and corners, we're probably going to look at Hrustic, probably. Maybe Moy is going to get involved in some of the free kicks and corners as well, but Hrustic seems to be the guy to go for Australia if you are looking for the free kicks. And Denmark is another team where it's all about one player, and we do see this a lot. And when you get these kind of teams where all of the set pieces seem to be taken by one player, they have this star player, then that means that's definitely a player you want to have a really good look at going for. And Eriksen is one of those players who's pretty much nailed on in my World Cup fantasy team at 8 million. I think that's a really good price for him. He's a midfielder as well, so it's good to fill up those midfield slots. He's going to be on penalties, free kicks and corners, but we could see Skell Olsen also come in on those free kicks and corners as well. He's only 6 million. I think that's a really good price for him as well. So I think Skell Olsen is actually probably one of the best bargain midfielders you can possibly have in the game as well. So if you're going to double up on the Denmark midfield, those two guys would definitely be the two that I would go for. I know you guys are probably looking at some other players, but those are the two I like the most. And for Tunisia, Wabi Kazri, he seems to have been around forever. He played in the Premier League, if I remember correctly, a long time ago, but he's going to be on penalties, free kicks, and corners most likely. Silmane or Silmane, not quite sure how to say his name. Again, another player I wasn't familiar with before doing the research for this video, but he is also going to be free kicks, corners as well. Maybe any Tunisians out there could help me out of how to pronounce that particular name. For Spain, I think it's going to be Morata taking the penalties most of the time, but Sarabia, I think, is a really good shout as possibly the main penalty taker as well. I certainly think that Sarabia is going to be on free kicks and corners, but the difficulty is, again, he's another player that hasn't been added to the game yet at time of recording, so I don't know what price he's going to be. I'm guessing he's going to be listed as a midfielder, but there's a small chance he's listed as a forward. I hope he's a midfielder, and if he is, as long as he's priced anywhere below 8 million, I think genuinely Sarabia could be a player who's really worth going for, particularly if he's going to be on all of these set pieces. Pedri as well, possibly on some free kicks and corners, but I think the experience of Sarabia is going to be preferred for Spain. For Costa Rica, it seems to be Campbell that's going to be taking most of the penalties and free kicks, possibly even corners as well. Oviedo is another shout for free kicks and corners there, but Campbell, Joel Campbell, Arsenal legend, is probably going to be the star of the show for Costa Rica, as he has been for so many years. For Germany, it seems like Gundogan's going to be taking the penalties, with free kicks and corners primarily going to Kimmich. Sane could be on some free kicks and corners as well. Sane is actually a really good shout at 9 million. I really like this pick. Kimmich, not so much, because he is going to be playing in a slightly deeper role. I think he will make tackles. I think he may make some key passes. But 7 million, I kind of wish he was maybe 6 million, 6.5 million would have been a bit of a nicer price tag for him. So I wonder if maybe some of us will be priced out of Kimmich a little bit, and maybe at this kind of a similar price, Gundogan as the midfielder to go for might be the slightly better pick there. For Japan, Minamino, I believe, is going to be the penalty taker based on what I have researched and the recent penalty takers for Japan. Whenever Minamino is on the pitch, he seems to be the guy who's going to be taking those penalties. But Kamada on free kicks and corners, again, I spoke about him a little bit in my cheap players video, which I definitely go and watch that video. I really recommend going to watch that video. It only dropped last night, so it's fairly new still. But yeah, Kamada, definitely another player to really watch out for Japan. Again, if I'm going for one player from Japan, Kamada would be the guy I'd go for. 5.5 million midfielder. That's a really good player there, particularly like ahead of a game against Costa Rica. You know, when he plays against Costa Rica, I think that could be a really, really interesting kind of differential to go for that not many people will be thinking about. For Belgium, Lukaku should be taking the penalties, but he's got injury problems. We're not sure how much involvement he's going to have in the Belgium team. Eden Hazard could also be taking penalties there, but again, we're not 100% sure how much game time Hazard is going to be getting. I'm sure he will start most games though, so I guess for argument's sake, maybe Hazard is going to be taking the penalties, but it could also be De Bruyne as well, who's going to be on free kicks and corners. He's another one of those players who a lot of people are putting in their fantasy team. Really like De Bruyne, one of the best players in the world right now, certainly the best midfielder in the world in my opinion, and he's going to be on free kicks, corners, and creating everything for Belgium. So I think he's going to pick up so many points for key passes. I really think he's going to pick up an insane amount of points, plus the goals, plus the assists. It's going to be an absolute crazy tournament for De Bruyne in terms of fantasy points, so definitely recommending him. For Canada, it's Alphonso Davies' time to shine. Eustaquio? Again, not quite sure how to say that name. First time I've ever tried to say the name. He could be on some set pieces as well there, but certainly Alphonso Davies, he's going to be the star there. He's a defender at 5 million, but the problem is with defenders in this fantasy game is that defenders can quite easily start losing points if the other team scores a lot of goals against them, and I think Canada could concede quite a lot of goals in this tournament. So I wonder, therefore, is Davies, the fact that he's on penalties, free kicks, corners, is that going to make up for the fact that he is going to be conceding a few goals? Possibly. Not entirely sure about this one, but it's certainly one worth having a look at. Morocco's penalty taker seems to be Boufal. He's been taking the penalties recently for Morocco. He's doing quite well there. He's one of their better players as well. Ziyech on free kicks and corners. For Croatia, it's the Modric show. It really is the Modric show. I know a few people think that Kramaric might take some penalties as well, but it seems like anytime Modric is on the pitch, Croatia get a penalty, Modric takes it, right? So he's also going to be on free kicks and corners. There is argument to say that maybe Perisic takes some free kicks, some corners, particularly if Modric is kind of not playing or has been substituted off, then Perisic is probably going to come into the fold a little bit there. But again, Croatia, another team where it's all about one player really in terms of those set pieces. It is their absolute legend of a player who is Modric. He is like their star, right? Brazil in Group D. So Neymar, again, another team where there's one consistent player who's going to be doing everything, and that player's name is Neymar, who has been playing amazingly for club and country, really. Neymar is really at the top of his game right now, so a real player to look out for in this tournament, and Brazil, we feel, will go very far. So I'll be surprised if you guys don't have Neymar in your fantasy team at one point or another. I know they've got a tough game against Serbia to start themselves off, but still, Neymar is always worth a shout. But maybe Rafinha comes in there, takes some of the free kicks, some of the corners, particularly if they want a left footer on some of these set pieces, but it's mostly going to be Neymar. Serbia, Tadic. You know, when you just find another team where you have the team, you have Serbia, and then you have the player Tadic, and it seems to be all about Tadic. Now, unfortunately, Tadic is quite expensive at 8 million. I would have liked to see him a little bit cheaper, but 8 million is his price, but he is going to be the star of that Serbia team on penalties, free kicks, corners, creating for his teammates as well. Kostic could possibly come in and maybe take some free kicks and corners as well, but it's mostly going to be the Tadic show for Serbia. For Switzerland, this is a difficult one. So let's talk about free kicks and corners first, which I think is mostly going to be Shaqiri. Rodriguez is going to be involved in some free kicks and corners as well, who is a defender, plays primarily as a left back at the moment for Switzerland. So he's going to be quite a cheap option to get some free kicks and corners. We might see Granit Xhaka possibly take some free kicks and corners as well, but it's mostly going to be those two guys, I think. As for penalties, I don't have an answer for you. It's the short answer. What I can tell you is that Ricardo Rodriguez, he took the last 3 penalties for Switzerland. Unfortunately, he also missed the last 3 penalties for Switzerland. So therefore, it is very difficult for me to say, is he still going to be the penalty taker for Switzerland? Is someone else going to be taking the penalties for Switzerland? Possibly. It's difficult to say who that might be. Could it be Shaqiri, possibly? Embolo is the main striker, but he's not really a penalty taker. Could it be Fabian Schär? That would be really interesting. Fabian Schär took a lot of penalties earlier on in his career, both for club and country, I believe. So maybe Fabian Schär, who is 4 million, by the way, 4 million defender, goal-scoring defender, maybe that is worth going for, but previously it's been Rodriguez taking the penalties, so is he going to be finally relieved of his duties? I don't know. If there's any one of you out there who is a Switzerland fan or from Switzerland who maybe has any clue as to who you think the next penalty taker for Switzerland will be, let me know. Even if you're not from Switzerland, let me know. What's your opinion on that one? Because 3 missed penalties, surely he doesn't get another one. I don't know. Cameroon is next, and pretty much no Cameroon players are in the game at time of recording, which is really, really annoying. It's only their goalkeepers who have actually been listed in the fantasy game, but it looks like Abubakar is going to be taking the penalties, and Brian Mbeumo from Brentford, we all know him very well if you're a Premier League fan. Brian Mbeumo could be the guy taking the free kicks and corners. So if Mbeumo gets a really nice cheap price for Cameroon, maybe that could be okay, but I did see a stat that said that Cameroon have not won a World Cup game in a very, very long time. So I don't know, but yeah, Abubakar and Mbeumo, whenever these players come into the game, maybe they're worth a look at. Really going to depend on their price. And finally, into Group H, and we've got Portugal first of all. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be the main penalty taker. For free kicks, it's going to be, again, Cristiano Ronaldo. In terms of those other free kicks, maybe some corners, it's going to be Bruno Fernandes probably taking the majority of that. 9.5 million. It's quite expensive, but hopefully you get good value for money with that player. Bernardo Silva maybe taking some corners as well, like maybe an outside shout for Mendes, maybe taking some corners as well. Not sure. The difficulty is with Ronaldo is that everything that's going on right now, how involved is he going to be in everything? Where's his headspace going to be at? Is there going to be any problems in the Portugal camp with all of the drama that's going on around him at the moment? In which case, maybe it's Fernandes that steps up and takes some penalties. But you can't really doubt Ronaldo for Portugal. He's not done anything wrong for Portugal. He's going to continue to take those penalties, you would have thought, and really kind of make a name for himself in his final World Cup tournament. Probably. Surely this is his last World Cup, I guess. For Ghana, I think it's going to be Jordan Ayew on penalties, although there's outside shouts for some other players. Maybe Andre Ayew if he's playing, but he's not getting too many minutes for Ghana at the moment. There's possibility for Inaki Williams to step up and take some penalties, kind of the new star of Ghana maybe, but Jordan Ayew, he's been around for so long for the Ghana team, so it's probably going to be him on penalties. For free kicks, it's going to be Kudus probably. He's a decent midfielder, you know, and maybe he's going to get the odd contribution, whether that's a goal from a free kick, whether that's kind of assists, crossing it in and those corners. I'm not sure, but he's definitely worth a little look at 6 million. But again, kind of wish he was a little bit cheaper. For Uruguay, I guess it's going to be Luis Suarez on penalties and free kicks. Anything direct is probably going to be Luis Suarez for Uruguay, as long as he gets the minutes under his belt. Aside from that, free kicks and corners, De La Cruz is a good shout. And De Arrascaeta, who we spoke about again yesterday, is another possibility as a shout for some of those corners as well. Maybe some free kicks as well. Not 100% sure on that one. So yeah, it's going to be mostly Suarez, but De La Cruz, 5.5 million. If you fancy going for someone slightly different for Uruguay, then he could be your answer. And finally, Korea. Son is the main man. Like, nobody has any doubt about that. Everyone knows that for the Korea Republic, South Korea, whatever you want to call them, it's all about Heung-min Son. But unfortunately, Heung-min Son has got an injury to his orbital, his eye socket. So we're not sure how much involvement he's going to have at the World Cup immediately. And therefore, maybe we could see some other players come in and take some set pieces. Hwang Hee-chan is a possibility to take the penalties. I know he's taken 1 or 2 before. So that is a possibility that he takes the penalties for Korea in this tournament. And maybe Lee is going to take some of the free kicks and corners as well. And there we go, guys. That is all 32 teams and all of their set piece takers. That was an intense one, but hopefully you guys followed, and hopefully I've maybe kind of helped out a little bit with this video. But if this did help at all, help you make your fantasy decisions, please do leave a like. It really does help out the channel so much. And do subscribe if you're looking for more World Cup fantasy content. We're going to have it non-stop over the next few days. It's going to be 2 uploads per day to get you all of the information, try and give you all of the tools to succeed at World Cup fantasy. And hopefully you guys are going to be very competitive in the game. So there we go, guys. That's going to be it from me today. I'll see you on the next video later on today. And I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.